Welcome to Myanmar Musings, a podcast of the Myanmar Research Centre at the Australian National University, Canberra. I'm Luke Corbin. It's the 22nd of October 2021, and on this quick episode we're announcing an upcoming event for early career researchers being held online by the Myanmar Research Centre, the MRC. With us to talk about this in the Gilded Shui virtual studio is Mike Dunford, a PhD candidate at the School of Culture, History and Language at the ANU, and a key mover and shaker at the Myanmar Research Centre. Hello, Mike.
Good morning, Luke. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Nearly lunchtime here in Thailand. So I wondered, Mike, if you could just give us a quick overview of what this really exciting workshop is.
So the workshop is on the 9th and 10th of December this year, 2021. We are asking that applicants send us a CV and a description of their current research projects to myanmar.research@anu.edu.au by November 8th. We'd ask that you submit applications by November 8th so that we have a month to put it together. The workshop is usually at the Australian National University, but given the coronavirus situation, we'll be doing it online this year over Zoom. It will feature faculty from the ANU and from other universities leading workshops that will ideally help emerging researchers in the Myanmar studies scene, make a career out of research, and that's the point of this workshop every year, is to get new voices into the Burma studies scene, and especially to welcome researchers from Myanmar into the global Burma studies community. This year, there's the added purpose of rethinking how to research Myanmar in a post-coup context.
Excellent. Are there limited places? Who is eligible? Does it cost anything?
So there are limited places only because we want to make sure that every student has the chance to interact with one another and interact with the speakers and the people presenting sessions at the workshop. So in the past, we've limited it to 24, but we'll see how many applications we get this year. There's no fee for attending, and in fact, eligible students will receive a $500 research stipend to help support their projects. For the moment, we're pitching this mainly to students who are inside Australia and New Zealand, but we will look at applicants who are sending in applications from overseas on a case-by-case basis. The only caveat is that the workshop will be held during the afternoon Australia time, so that sort of rules some places out. It's not a very good time for Europe, not a very good time for the US.
Right, and as you have said, things have changed regarding research in Myanmar since the previous iteration of this event, namely there's been a military coup. So let's just go over quickly some of the things that people can expect in the workshop. The first one is the ethics of doing research in a post-coup Myanmar. For example, should we go to Myanmar?
In a context where daily life is more dangerous for everyone, the question of how not to do harm as researchers is one that we're trying to take seriously and trying to spend a significant part of the workshop really trying to answer.
And that's connected to remote and online research strategies and adjusting methodologies. I know, for example, if you are planning to do participant observation inside Myanmar, how do you adjust that to a remote online environment?
Yeah, great question that I think many of us are trying to answer right now. So we'll ask some scholars to share their own methodological experiences with us. I know that some people have been doing a lot of analysis of social media and of interactions on Facebook and Twitter, and looking at the online communities that have in some cases emerged and in some cases changed since the coup. But this goes back to that question about ethics. There is a sense that doing online research of this sort can be quite invasive and quite extractive. So we'll also be looking at more sorts of participatory methodologies that can be conducted from overseas, that can be conducted remotely, and these could include phone interviews and participant-led online research in the form of making maps and taking photographs and things like that.
Right, and then before, say, 2010, you could say that a majority of fieldwork-related research on Myanmar came out of the border regions, and now it's very easy for people in Australia, for example, to fly to Thailand. So, in this workshop, there's also going to be discussions on the practicalities of researching Myanmar-related issues in Thailand or, for example, India.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In the past, Chiang Mai and Mae Sot were sort of hubs of Myanmar research despite being located in Thailand. And now there's some speculation that a Burma studies community might gain some traction on the India side, where there's also a growing refugee community now. So one of the questions that we'll be asking is how can we make use of those external border region networks in a way that's useful to people who are inside Myanmar right now, and in a way that makes for good quality research.
And then finally, I believe you'll be doing something a bit more standard at these kinds of events, which is discussions on research publications and everything like that. We've got a couple of Myanmar-specific journals out there, the Journal of Burma Studies and the Independent Journal of Burmese Scholarship. And it's always good to discuss where you target your research.
Academic publication is a really daunting process, and it can be a really confusing one that's loaded with hidden transcripts and hidden curriculum. And one of our goals is to make some of that a little bit more transparent and a little bit easier to navigate for new scholars. And of course, IJBS and the Burma Studies Journal are great places for emerging voices in Burma studies to publish. So we'll be thinking about how to publish in journals like those, and also in subject area journals as well.
Fantastic, Mike. Well, all of the details for our listeners will be in links under this podcast on most of the platforms. If you're listening on some platforms, they don't allow links. But if you check the Facebook page for Myanmar Musings, you'll see all the details about this workshop, as well as the Facebook page and website of the ANU Myanmar Research Centre. So thank you, Mike, for letting everybody know about this great sounding workshop, and hopefully you will be inundated with applications.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Luke.